Are you or someone you know looking to buy or sell a home? When you use a HomeGain Realtor to buy or sell a home, you can get $150. Visit HomeGain.com and click on the Promo 150 banner at the top of the page to get started. Compare HomeGain Realtors and choose your favorite. Complete your home purchase or sale transaction with a HomeGain Realtor, and HomeGain will pay you $150. Get started today by going to HomeGain.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Real Estate 360 Live. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper, joined by my guest, Cammarosano, the general manager of HomeGain. Reminder that the show is here to answer any questions, concerns, real estate needs that you have. If it's in regards to getting your credit fixed to purchase or refinance your home, whether it's looking for a great mortgage company, local lender that can, take care of you, make sure that the deal that you're being quoted up front is the deal that you get when you go to the closing table, reach out to me, 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030, or visit us via the web at realestate360live.com. That's realestate360live.com. So I want to get into this week's credit tip of the week. It was brought to you by the Credit Pros. Damon Descrescenzo with the Credit Pros says that how many people know that they think that by paying off their credit cards each month that their credit scores should be great. You're right, they should have 700-plus credit scores by paying your credit card off in full every month. Well, he says that many do this same thing. They pay their credit cards off in full every month only to find that their credit scores still stink. And he's saying the reason why is because many of them pay off their balances in full each month, but they forget that the credit card companies only report their data one time a month. So let's say that they report their data on the 5th of the beginning of each month, but yet you're not physically paying it off until the 10th. And let's say you had a balance of $3,000 and, before they go to report, you have a $2,900 balance and you're getting ready to pay that off 3 or 4 days later. Guess what the number that gets reported on your credit report? Basically, it looks like you have a maxed out credit card there. Even though you're paying them off in full, it's the timing of when they report to the credit bureaus the balance that's on there. This is, it seems crazy, like I'm taking care of my credit. I'm paying off my balances in full. And you are, I feel like you are, but you need to realize that that's not the way that every single one of your creditors are reporting the information. So what Damon suggests doing is to try and, pay these statements earlier in your cycle. So, if you can kind of find out, you might want to actually try calling them and find out what day of the month they're actually reporting the information. They may or may not give it to you. But if not, just know that you want to start changing things earlier in the cycle. So, or always try to keep your balances to 30% of your high credit limit. So that,
Ryan, your credit card company will allow you to change the date of the month that you pay. So you can change that from the 10th to the 5th.
That was going to be my third option.
Oh.
The other option is just to keep it at the 30% of your high balance at all times, so that no matter when that information is given to the credit bureaus, it's going to be in line. Because if you stay at 30% or lower of whatever your high credit limit is, it's going to rate that account positively. But if you for some reason you get caught in between time and you've got it up to max out and then you pay it off and they report 3 days earlier, it looks like you have a maxed out credit card. What could that potentially change your credit score? It could be 20, 30, 40 points. And if you're in the middle of a transaction or getting ready to, get your credit pulled to obtain a mortgage or auto loan or whatever it may be, you're going to want to make sure that you take care of this. And the other thing that you can do, as Lewis mentioned, was to go ahead and set it up with your credit card companies to change the date of the month that they're actually taking the money from you or you're paying the bill.
And would the Credit Pros advise, if you're paying your credit card off every month, isn't that a good opportunity to increase your credit limit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and every credit card company is different, Lewis, so you're going to have some that it's just like a history of your account. They see how much money you're putting on there, what your pay history is, how much you're paying off. But if you're paying it off every month, guarantee that your credit card company is going to want to up your limit, right? Because they're going to want you to put more and more money on there. So
then don't make the same mistake that you were making when you had the $3,000 credit limit.
Exactly. Don't continue to run that up and pay it off after the information's already been reported. But, if you're in the middle of a transaction or you're getting ready to go into a transaction, I suggest just shutting your credit cards off. Don't use them at all until you get done with, applying for your mortgage or your auto loan or another credit card, because you don't want, necessarily one little thing to hinder you from getting that loan. I mean, each week we try to give you these little tips, but to be honest, a majority of people are not aware of a lot of the things that are going on in the credit industry. Damon with the Credit Bros tells me all the time, he's like, people don't realize that, if information is reported inaccurately on your credit report, let's say it's a collection, just because you haven't, they're reporting you as haven't paid that collection and it's on there, doesn't mean they have the right to have that on your credit report. If they didn't report it, accurately, like they don't have a proper account number, if they don't have, basically a full description of all the information that's necessary according to federal and state laws to be reporting that, then it must come off. Now, that doesn't, and the next question I always get from people is, well, does that mean I have to pay it in order for it to be deleted? Not necessarily. Right? Not necessarily. Sometimes you would if they could validate that account and they could provide accurate information to support them reporting it. But if they don't have that information, chances are it's going to come off. Legally, it has to come off.
And Brian, do you recommend somebody who can help, with credit issues?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there's two different companies that I would definitely use. One would be the Credit Pros and Damon Descrescenzo. I can give you their information. Just reach out to me at 877-245-2030. And then the other one is Rondi Lambeth. I use both of them interchangeable, and they're both great. I mean, the greatest thing about these credit repair services, you typically don't pay anything unless you get results. Now, if it's a situation like you're in the middle of a transaction and you have to get something deleted like right then and there and you need their help, you're probably going to have to pay something up front because you're trying to get an expedited service. But if this is just something where you're trying to get your credit squared away over the long term, typically you're not going to pay unless you're successful getting things removed. And they both tell me that it takes time for some people and other times it's done right away. But expect results, especially if you have a lot of collections, a lot of things going on with your credit report. Expect results in the first 45 to 60 days.
And they also recommend not trying to do this yourself online.
I would 100% recommend, if it was me, if I had these issues, I wouldn't even try to do it myself. Now, granted, I know a lot about credit. I know a lot about the overall industry, but I still wouldn't go at it on my own. You know why? Because I don't know what to say. I've had numerous customers say, well, that's not my account. They pick up the phone, they call the collection agency, they say, this is on my report. I don't know why this is on my report, and I shouldn't have to pay that. Well, how about I pay it and you give me a deletion letter to remove it off? And they're going to say, sir, well, I can't do that. I can't give you a deletion letter. Then they go to the Credit Pros, that same situation, after they've already been on the phone, they couldn't get anything accomplished in the Credit Pros. They basically go into the legal ramifications of them not removing that account because they don't have accurate information to be reporting it anyway, and guess what? It disappears. So you have to know what you're talking about, and it's not just, don't ever think that you can just sit there and dispute whether you paid or didn't pay, because you will always lose that fight.
Yeah, so the value of a professional in almost any financial transaction, it makes sense.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, like I said, credit is probably, the most important starting block, the foundation of trying to obtain any sort of credit, any sort of loan that you would need out there. You have to have a credit score. You have to. It's critical. So it doesn't matter if you have, make $150,000, you've had a stable job for 5 years. If you have zero credit, you're dead in the water. You're not going to get a loan. But if you have a solid credit score, if you've got that 720 FICO, that you remain, consistent with it because you're doing the same things. You're taking the same approach every month, keeping your credit card balance to 30%, paying all your bills on time. I was given a great tip by Damon one time that says, there's certain things that people can do to make sure that they always pay their credit cards on time. You go and you set up the minimum payment to always be auto withdrawn out of your account, so it always takes the minimum payment. But then you come behind it, any other, like one time a month when you do all your other bills, and you pay extra money towards that credit card. That's a great way to ensure that you're not missing your credit card payment, right, which can cause late fees and everything else. But the important part is to treat your credit like it's your cash in your bank, because it really is. It's either gonna have more money in your pocket, or it's going to take more money away from you because you're having to pay higher interest rates or not have the ability of obtaining loans. So I can't, emphasize enough, guys. This is one of the building blocks. This is the foundation of what I teach people every day is to get your credit squared away, regardless of whether you plan on buying a home today, tomorrow, or 3 years from now,
or you even own, or continue to own your home, because you continue to own
your home. Absolutely. I mean, because this could be the difference in a quarter to 0.5% in a mortgage interest rate. And I know that may not seem like much, but on a $300,000-$400,000 loan, that's a lot of money.
Over time.
Yeah, especially you could be taking that savings and applying that back towards your other debt, or putting that in your bank account and to let your savings build. So it's a critical aspect. 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030 if you'd like me to get you in touch with the credit pros to, get your credit started and get it squared away. We're coming up on the end of the show. Louis, I want to thank you for coming on. And can you let our listeners know if they're just starting their home search, looking to connect with a real estate professional, where should they do that at?
Well, you can go to homegain.com, and you can use the homegain.com service to find a realtor, and you do that by filling out a profile, telling HomeGain what you want in an agent, and then the agents will then send back to you their proposals, and you can choose them anonymously. In other words, the agents don't get your contact information. You get theirs, and you reach out to them after you've analyzed them on an apples-to-apples basis. You can go to homegain.com and start your search there.
Great, Louis. I appreciate your insights. Have a great week.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Ryan.